Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
We're meeting is a regular select board meeting. It's Tuesday, March 16th. We are here in the lower town hall. There is a Zoom link on the agenda. So those of you who are on Zoom, welcome to the meeting. I'll begin with the call to order. And we need to approve the minutes of February 16th. It says 18th, but 16th and March 2nd. We're short.
It's the 16th and the 18th.
Yeah, we are short one member here so far. I know where Elijah is. I saw him walking down the street. I hope he remembers he's supposed to be here tonight. But anyway, Sue's here, so we do have a quorum. What would entertain a motion to approve the minutes? And I know there's two board members that are new here. Did you get a chance to read them?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so if you feel comfortable voting.
Okay. Are we doing all three at once or what?
So excuse me, the March 2nd meeting was the town meeting.
Right.
And we don't approve those until the next town meeting. So these are just the February 16th and February 18th.
Correct. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 16th and 18th.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of February 16th and 18th. Any discussion? Corrections, errors, omissions? I have one on page 3. Third paragraph down, this is about the financial responsibility about the grant that Gary Fox was presenting. It says, P. Golick asked about the audit of the grant, and it should read Stefan Golick asked about the audit of the grant. There he is. Elijah's just come in. Also, I would remind people that March 2nd also was a reorganizational meeting, so we can approve those minutes. So would you want to amend that motion to include the March 2nd?
So amended.
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion further?
Well, I brought up that one issue I had. It's not important at all, but it says on number 3, set a time and place of regular board meetings. It's just a little backwards. Susan had suggested that we have a working meeting on the first Wednesday and a regular meeting on the third Tuesday, and that's what we agreed to, and it's written backwards in the minutes. Not a big deal.
Elijah, do you have any corrections, additions, or anything to the minutes? All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the minutes would say aye.
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 Motion passes. Additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require notification or ratification at a future meeting. Do we have any, Scott?
The only thing I have is I got a form from the listers. It's a requirement that we, they send a form to the select board basically saying that for their April 1, 2020 grand list, that there are no appeals pending or any additional actions or suits pending to recover taxes paid. So it basically just says that the list is locked at that point. So we just have to do a resolution to adopt their locking of the grand list. So they gave that to me, so we can do it at our joint meeting for what it's worth.
Do you want to add
Just a
that?
routine matter. There's no other action, just to adopt it as is, and then we sign it and give it back to them. and they certify it, and the clerk basically files it. So that means the grand list is locked.
So do you want to put that resolution on as item 5?
We can do that tonight if you'd like. That would be great. Thank you. It doesn't involve any appropriation or any money.
Okay. Any other additions? Anybody?
Peter, I have a question about the autonomous vehicle discussion. The meeting that was supposed to take place on that, there was a technical foul up.
Right.
Didn't happen. Do we need to have further discussion before April 7th? I understand there's Scott, is there a working group that's being put together?
There is. We have to update we did have a problem with our Zoom that night. So we're going to reschedule the public information meeting. It's just more for public consumption. And then there'll be a follow-up. We have to do some work. We'll talk a little bit more about it at the joint board meeting about what criteria we would potentially look at if we were going to work with the state on the local permit. Springfield's adopted it. They're going forward with it. We would be a secondary location if we decide to go forward with it. At this point, we're just exploring it, looking at what it might entail, what concerns people have, getting more familiar with what the permitting process would be, so that people, if we come back to the board at some point, we can make a more informed decision as to how we want to go forward with that. So that's really where we are. It's very preliminary.
Okay. Is there a deadline by which we have to make a decision?
No,
Oh, good.
no, the state's just looking for, at this point, they're just looking for people to participate.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. There's no other public comment on items not on the agenda. It's 3 minutes per person, and I would advise people to just raise their hand and be recognized before they speak, so we don't have 3 or 4 people trying to talk at once. Anyone have any public comments? None. I see
I
none
don't
here.
see any on
I
Zoom.
think Deb Wright's hand
Nothing
is
out
up.
there. Thanks, Shannon.
Does Deb Wright have her hand up?
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
Showing her hand is up, but I don't know. Deb, do you have something you want to?
She doesn't have her
No,
hand
my
up.
hand's not up. Sorry if you think
Oh,
you're,
yeah, it's showing up on the thing next to your
That's
name
weird.
there.
okay,
No
no,
problem. All right, manager's report.
Thank you. A couple of items. If you've noticed, there's been some work going on next door at the north storefront. Our tenant has asked for some updates. They're doing a little bit of plumbing work, a little bit of electrical work, nothing significant, but if you've noticed, there has been some activity there. That's hopeful that that will help them to get to the point where they're ready to actually open and have a, functioning retail business. We don't have a date for that yet, but if you did notice activity there, that's what's been going on at that location. So that's one item. We have to decide at a future meeting. I know that many of you have been following in the newspaper and other forums the ongoing conversation with the homeowners at 1 Center Street and a variety of different actions that the town has taken. We had a health order, we had a nuisance order. There was an appeal of both of those. The appeal for the health order was finally concluded, and a letter was issued late in February. And now that the weather has started to break, we still have to schedule an appeal for the nuisance order and then go through a process to go through the particulars of that. So at some point in probably maybe April, we'll look at maybe having that meeting. And it's up to you whether you want to do that as a separate meeting, how you want to proceed with that. I'll make sure that the new members can get some of the background, just some more of the detail. Peter's been here through the whole process, so he might be able to fill in some gaps, but that's something that we'll have to start to work on and schedule as we go forward on your spring calendar, something for consideration. The highway department has actually started taking, now this might be under the, knock on wood, they've actually started taking some of the plows off some of our trucks, converting to.
Look at Denver.
As soon as I say this, all hell's gonna break loose, right? We're gonna get
Yeah, I
typecast
meant to
up.
do it.
But, so they've started working on, conversion, because as you know now, the biggest issue we have out in in some of our town areas is the condition of our roads, especially as we get into the mud season. We've already been in some places where we've had to do some emergency work because the roads were basically impassable at a couple locations. They've done a great job so far keeping everything up to snuff, but as the weather breaks now, they'll be more engaged in doing that activity. So we're in the process of that changeover and hopeful that, the weather will at least be helpful from a winter standpoint so that we don't have anything more until next fall, whenever that might be. And then finally, this is sort of an update from the prior board, but one of the conversations that we had as we were looking at our equipment as we went through our budget process, and one of the conversations we had with the select board was, are there opportunities for us to look at equipment coming off a lease that might be more advantageous to us in terms of price and getting trucks replaced, because we have a replacement schedule for equipment. So we've been in touch with some folks, and it appears that we might be able to get something coming off of a lease that still might have some warranty available that meets all of our criteria for what we're looking for in a new truck. So as we get closer to that, and we're still waiting on confirmation, we're going to have to go and take a look and do a few other things. But if it looks like that might happen, I think we'll come back to the board and have a conversation before we decide to ultimately purchase or acquire the vehicle coming off a lease, just so that everybody on this new board is comfortable with how we would go forward with that. So just another item for your consideration as we move forward as well. So those are the things I've got for now.
Did you have any other information on that? What used to be Mort's up there by the diner? I know the work's complete inside the building, but
There was a very preliminary conversation with the owner that they had a idea for a retail shop that was going to go in there, and they were starting to do some preliminary work. So we went up and visited them, and the fire chief went and visited them because they needed some permits and some other things. So at this point, I think they're waiting on getting all their submissions appropriate, but I think they'll be coming back to look at trying to open up something for a retail facility, probably later in the spring now, because they need to do some catch up.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else have any other questions for the manager? All set?
Nope.
All right, let's go down to the regular agenda, and the first item is the meeting of the Rockingham Board of Liquor Commissioners. Shall advise that there were two applications that were not complete, but have since been corrected by the town clerk, so everything seems to be in order. So I will entertain a motion to approve or disapprove of those 6 items, and then we can do them all at once.
I'll move that we approve of those 6 items.
Can would you like to read them so that people know who's getting them?
Do I have to read them? Okay.
Bonnie, please just speak right into your microphone, though.
Peter, I don't have the list, so I'm going to have to pass on that.
All right, let me read
got it.
you have them?
Yeah, these are the Athens Pizza House. Is that one?
Yep.
Yep, incorporated first-class liquor license. Bellows Falls Polish American Club, number 1, including first and third-class liquor license. Stanch's Place, LLC, second-class liquor license. Moose, the Loyal Order of, Lodge number 527, incorporated first and third-class liquor license and outside consumption permit. Global Montello Group, second-class liquor license, and Bart Energy, LLC, second-class liquor license.
And you have the Bard Energy one?
Yep, Bart Energy,
Okay.
number 6.
Hey, do we have a second?
I have a question.
We need a second.
Oh, second first, all right.
Okay. All right, discussion.
Okay, discussion. Bart Energy is an energy and oil company. Do they have a social?
They have a deli,
They have a deli.
so I'm sure they have beer up there, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
They
Where's
have
I didn't know where that was
beer,
located.
soda, yeah, I think they have a little deli section up there that I know
Okay.
they have soda and drinks and thing, and I'm pretty sure they have some other items up there for sandwiches and stuff.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Sue, you anything? Guess not.
I was just gonna say apart, so, yep.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve the 6 liquor licenses were read off. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Sue,
Hi,
coming around.
can you not hear me,
We can hear you.
Peter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I don't know if you couldn't hear me, that's all.
No, I can hear you. I just wasn't sure if you were hearing me. Okay.
Mhm.
Hey, down on to the regular agenda. First item will be the financials. Everyone should have a copy of that in their packet. Shannon's here to answer any questions you might have.
Just a couple of points of information for the board. We are still waiting on our accountants to come back with their full set of financials. If you remember, for the town meeting, they just did a short form of our audited financials. So we had the schedules, and we had our fund balances, and we had the general, most of the general statements, but they had not completed all of the audit, including the management letter. Shannon and I were trying to get in touch with Josh earlier this week to find out when he would have that so we could circulate it. I'd like to have that hopefully at your next board meeting, as well as an opportunity for them to come and make possibly either a Zoom presentation to talk through the management letter as well, which I think is helpful then for everybody to get a sense of where things are, any issues that might require some changes for how we're conducting business, or any other things that they might have suggestions for in terms of best practices or their accounting follow-ups. So we don't have that confirmed, but I'm targeting and have asked him to try to have that so that I could have it out prior to our next meeting. So I guess with that in mind, Shannon, is there anything in this current listing that you wanted to highlight?
There's nothing really to highlight, just to note that the general fund as well as the highway fund will both be coming in under budget. The general fund primarily because of the cuts in the positions we haven't filled to date, and also the COVID reimbursements we've received. And then with the highway fund, Andy ran a pretty short crew this winter and ended up saving us a significant amount of money in highway wages. So.
That's great.
Anyone have any questions they want to ask, or?
I just have one question about the income for the fire department charges for 35,830. Where did that come from? Or is that something that was sold?
Which page, Sue? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's page 2 of 18 at the top.
Yes, that was the fire truck that or the rescue truck that they sold.
Okay. All right. So it's not charging. I thought there must have been a slew of accidents that people paid up for, but that's not what it is. Okay, thanks.
No, just equipment monies.
Okay, thanks.
The only other thing that I'll just point out is, again, since we're not currently in operation at the Opera House, all of our theater income and expenses are obviously impacted by that. The Rockingham Entertainment Group has asked that we start a conversation about a lease. Actually, they're called Rockingham Entertainment Development. Excuse me, it's RED. So we're going to look to start that later this month, and then hopefully have at least something that we can talk about as a board before we decide to go forward. This is a conversation that started last fall, but given the COVID restrictions and just how uncertain revenues were, it didn't seem reasonable for us to do a deal to start in January, not knowing when we could open. It seems now more likely that maybe by June or July, we might be able to potentially have, a regular schedule of events in the facility again without major restrictions. We're still hopeful that will be the case. And if so, then I think we can start to target how that's going to look in terms of its impact on our budget. And also we discussed the SBA process about, there is some monies available in the federal Small Business Administration for shuttered venues. And we're hoping, Gary and I have a call with the local or the regional SBA person to find out how that process would work and if that was something that we could take advantage of, which might help to scale up reopening so that some of that financial pressure isn't upfront with this potential new lease. And so then we would be in a position to maybe help that transition back into a full-time venue. So those things are still sort of in process, and it looks as, right now, it looks positive that we're going to move towards, I think, maybe some activity and more robust programming as we start heading into the warmer weather. So it's good news, but it still shows in your budget, and you'll notice that, there's just not a lot of activity, and we'll just have to see how those that particular area of the budget functions. That once we get to a point where we have a functional lease, we have some idea if we're going to be able to take some of the startup costs and ramp up, and then how we would what our relationship would be with the new potential Rockingham Entertainment Development Group, how that would impact our budget going forward. So
Scott,
continued.
Scott, what will the format of those conversations with the RED group look like? Will it be a working group? Because I know there are going to be a lot of ideas floating around. Will Charlie Hunter represent them?
Charlie's been the lead for those folks,
Mm-hmm.
and myself, Chuck, and Shannon have sort of floated in and out participating. So I think the way that it would work is we'd probably start to put some structure together, and then at least get to a point where we think we have enough detail that we would want to have a conversation with the board before we went back and finalized the deal. So my hope is it shouldn't be that difficult for us to get this thing worked out, and that we should have something hopefully for you guys to look at, sometime in April, and maybe some sort of time frame in May where we might be able to approve and be ready to really start going by June.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
that's
okay. So the shuttered venue grant that offers up to 45% of the earned income for the previous year. So
when it was in operation, not the COVID year, when you had your
Right.
year of
right,
traditional
Mhm.
operation. Correct.
right. So that could represent a pretty good
Substantial amount of
chunk
money.
of change. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, I think we targeted $345,000 in revenue. So
Wow.
even if you get $75,000 or $80,000 for a startup, that's a huge help to get us going.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
Peter, I have something I wanted to add. I mean, it might be a discussion later on, but I've been working on promoting this film for work, and it's being shown virtually through theaters. And how it works is a theater just has to, they don't even have to have the technology to host it. It's hosted on another platform, and the theater gets 50% of the costs or the proceeds after the rental, and the film company gets the other 15%. There's fees involved. For each film, it's about $4.71 that goes to the theater. I don't know if that's something that we can explore in the short term. It might not bring in a ton of money, but it at least will bring people who might have a chance to stay involved with the Opera House in the duration. and 471 per film is more than we were getting before. Because we split a lot with the movie studios. It's not big blockbuster films. It's documentaries, it's art films, it's you know, a variety of other, not necessarily the you know, blockbuster films, because those aren't being shown in this way, but it might be something to explore. I don't know if you have staff in-house that, or volunteers who could look at that, but it might bring in just some income and could help with concessions. People who might, on a Friday night, you can start again your concession sales.
It sounds like, Sue, maybe I'll get in touch with you and maybe we can see how that might fit as we start these conversations, so.
And then even after the theater's running, you can continue these virtual theaters, and you have the blockbuster in the theater, and then you have the virtual platform that other films people can watch and contribute towards the Opera House. So it might be something to look at.
Thank you, Sue. Anything else? Seeing none, let's move on to appointments. We have a list of them. I did make up a chart that I took off of the information that Shannon had sent out in the packet. I thought it might be easier to look at going this way, make it a little less confusing to read the motions and then whatever. There are a couple of items there. There's a traffic safety committee that is not on here. That was instituted about 3 or 4 years ago to study truck traffic in the square. I think I sent out a little bulletin about that, so you'd have it. Damage to the buildings and, you know, caused by the rough road, but since the pavement's been done, truck traffic has since been rerouted down Atkinson Street versus the square, not all of it, but most of it. You have a list of members there who are on that committee. We haven't met since 2018. I would suggest that we probably discontinue that committee at this present time. There's no need for it. Opera House Theater Committee, I don't know who was on that. So I got it on here, and with this RED coming in, I don't know if we want to have somebody or just appoint a representative from the board to that committee. Scott, you got an idea on that, or?
Sure.
With you know, whether you guys got 4 or 5 people on it now, you know.
It's gonna have to come to the board, so the more we're involved in the conversation, I think it helps just, you know, move us into getting this thing done.
I wouldn't mind being involved in that if there's a slot.
Okay, that's great.
All right. Opera House.
Yeah, and I'd be
Committee.
happy as well if there's more than one needed.
Sure.
Okay, well, that being said, I think the last one was the Connecticut River Commissions. Those are the 2 current members, are Margaret Perry and Tom Hernan. What normally happens is those people normally are contacted. When we had an executive assistant, she would call these people and say, are you interested in it? And they would reply yes, no, or maybe. And if we never heard anything, we just appoint the people and wait to have them quit or resign from the committee themselves. So you'll see some blanks there that say interested. There's nobody listed. So that being said, let's start with the animal control. We've already done that one. BFADC, that's the Bells Falls Area Development Corp. That's a private committee, but we do appoint a select board member. Their policy, their bylaws state that not more than 2 from a community or a municipality can be appointed. As you see there, I was on it and Sue was on it. I have opted not to go on this year. I don't know, Sue, what your feelings are, if you want to stay on.
I could stay on, but I think it would be great if we had someone who is in the downtown from the board who can be on that. Elijah?
Elijah, really, no pressure,
We
Elijah.
got a new one, so we
Fit that potential
Elijah, what do you
description.
think?
What all's involved with
Yeah,
it?
they don't meet that often. They have been meeting more often now than because of the Robertson Paper Company going on.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much for activity as the next agenda. Of course, I'm not on it anymore, so they won't send me anything, but
Yeah. No, there will be a lot going forward about the development of the island, and the redevelopment of the Robinson's paper mill project. Which is why I'd be happy to stay on for continue, but it would be great, Elijah, if you could jump on as well.
Well, it's definitely the sort of things I'm already working with, so sure, why not?
And, you know, they usually meet like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. So I don't know if that works in with your schedule, but you're close in town hall here, so.
Yeah.
And they usually meet here, so. All right, so I'll write you down. Okay, I need a motion to appoint Sue Hammond and Elijah to the BFADC committee.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to appoint Sue Hammond and Elijah to the BFADC committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Okay, next one is the cemetery sexton, and that's Malcolm Potter and the municipal manager. Take a motion.
I'll move to have Malcolm Potter and the municipal manager continue their appointments with the cemetery sexton.
I will second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Sue, you all set?
All set.
Okay, all those in favor of Malcolm Potter and municipal manager as the cemetery sexton will say aye.
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 Duly elected. Conservation Commission, this one here, I wasn't sure. We elected these people last year, and I'm not sure if it's a yearly or if it's one that is for a period of time. So we can nominate and elect these same ones, and if it turns out they're serving a 1 or 2 year term, then that's fine. So I'll take a motion to appoint.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to appoint Mike Gia, Peter Bergstrom, Devin Smith, Tom Hernan, and Laurel Green to the Conservation Committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Connecticut River Commissions, as I said, is Margaret Perry and Tom Hernan. Take a motion.
I have a question with that, Peter. We got some correspondence today from the Connecticut River Conservancy about the FERC relicensing of the
Right,
the
that's
hydro-
on the agenda for the joint board.
Okay, so does that involve us making an appointment at all, or would
No,
that-
these are just representing the town as representatives of that committee.
Okay.
And it's actually a joint, from Rockingham, so I think they take care of the river from Rockingham up to the next town, Springfield, so that's.
All right, good.
So, I'll take a motion to appoint Margaret Perry and Tom Hernan to the to Connecticut River Joint Commission.
I so move.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint Tom Hernan and Margaret Perry to the Connecticut River Joint Commission. All those in favor would say aye.
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 All right, Constable, that was Ron Lake, and I think it was the other gentleman that was on there. I think he's no longer. He resigned.
Yeah.
He was up in Rockingham. He was the next policeman there, but we don't have one. You can appoint one. We don't have anybody that's interested, so we can skip that for now. And generally what happens is we can advertise it in-house or put it on the website and say anybody's interested in any of these positions, just notify the manager and they'll come back to us with those.
Could you describe the constable's duties, Peter?
Yeah, it depends on how deep you want to get into it. You can have a person that's licensed to do tickets. Otherwise, a policeman can go out and do it, and they serve any process of order, such as health orders, things like that. They can be authorized to do that.
Okay. So absent one, if a process has to be served to someone, who handles that now?
The sheriff's company. It depends on what type of process it is. If it's a health order, generally the health order rules say that it has to be a county sheriff that does it.
Okay.
So.
Thanks.
All right, emergency management coordinator, Sean McGinnis, and I guess he's still interested, so take a motion.
I move that Sean McGinnis be the emergency management coordinator.
Second?
I second that.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint Sean McGinnis as emergency management coordinator. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Sean's appointed. Energy chairperson. Peter Bergstrom is listed, and I assume he's still interested. He's part of the Conservation Commission, but
Yes.
we do appoint the chairman. So take a motion.
I move that Peter Bergstrom be appointed the energy chairperson.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to appoint Peter Bergstrom as the energy chairperson. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Hey, Great Falls Region Chamber of Commerce. Susan Ham is on there. Are you still interested, Sue?
That's another one that I'd be happy for someone to take over, only because they meet early in the morning and that's when I'm usually the busiest. They usually meet at 8:30, I think, on Wednesdays, once Wednesday a month, or maybe it's a Tuesday, I forget. But, and again, it would be good if someone who is in the business community could, be involved.
Everybody's looking at
They-
Elijah again.
They have a lot of kind of things planned, it's been hard under COVID, but a lot of, fundraising events planned, that they do a lot of things in town, the flannel festival and the chili cook-off and all those other things that they coordinate.
Yeah, I would be up for
It's
that.
the third Tuesdays. I think that's what it said.
Okay, that doesn't interfere. Well, third Tuesday, that's in the morning, so it's not going to interfere.
Third Tuesdays at 8:15.
Yeah, it won't bother our evening meeting on that night, so.
No.
Elijah, everybody's looking in your direction. Is that something you want to jump
Yeah,
onto?
I'll do that.
All
Okay.
right, so I nominate Elijah Zimmer as the.
Yeah, and I'll
the-
second that.
This is how you get your feet wet on the select board.
Yeah.
Jump right into these committees.
Okay, motion was made and seconded to elect Elijah Zimmer to the, and Sue Hammond to the Chamber of Commerce. If you still.
No, not me.
You don't want to be on
Not
there?
me.
All right, we'll take Sue off and,
No. I mean, I
make that
can stay
as-
on, but I don't think we need to.
okay, motion will be made that we appoint Elijah Zimmer to the Chamber of Commerce. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Aye.
Green Up Chair is Guy Payne and Amy Howlett. I assume they're still interested, so I'll take a motion.
I move that Guy Payne and Amy Howlett be serve as chairs of the Green Up Committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to appoint Guy Payne and Amy Howlett as chair of the Green Up Committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Opera House Committee. This is now under the RED, Rockingham and Entertainment Development. So I think if there's anybody interested on the select board that would like to be appointed to that, I think Rick mentioned he would like to be on there. Anyone else?
I'd be happy to do it as well.
Okay, I'll take a
I
motion.
mean,
Is anyone else? Bonnie, maybe? No?
You want 3 on there?
No, don't have to be, but there's two, and if-
no, we can't have 3 because then we're
Yeah,
a quorum.
it'd have to be a quorum, right? It'd be a
right,
public
so,
notice.
so why don't we just do two, and then there'll be an alternate, if someone can't make it, at
Yeah,
least we got somebody
I'll
on
be
the
an
board.
alternate.
Okay, do you make a motion to,
I'd like to move to appoint Rick Cohen and Susan Hammond on the Opera House Committee.
wait a second?
I second. for
Okay.
Elijah.
Motion made seconded to appoint Rick Cowan and Sue Hammond to the Opera House Committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Personnel Rules Committee. I was on that. I'm looking to get off. If someone else wants to take it, if not, I can stay on it. It's not that busy a thing, but
What is it you have to do?
being the chair, well, you meet with the employees and the union people, and if they want to make changes to personnel rules, someone, from the board, I'm sure someone from the trustees is appointed to that. And we just sit there and go over it when the manager's usually there. And
So I will say this, typically a grand overhaul of it is only done, well, it has been so infrequently, but recommended every 3 years when we do the union contracts. So we just did a major overhaul of it. So for the next 3 years, it'll just be some upkeep and things like that.
So how often do you meet?
Is needed, basically.
As needed?
Yeah, annually until we get to our 3-year review.
I'll do that, I guess.
Okay.
Try.
That's fun. Come on.
Okay, then I move that Bonnie North be appointed as the Personnel Rules Committee member.
Do your second. I'll second.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint Bonnie North to the Personnel Rules Committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Congratulations.
Bonnie's appointed. Pound Keeper is currently the Wyndham County Humane Society. I assume they're still interested. We haven't heard anything negative from them. That's where we take the animals that need to be kept in the pound for observation if there's a rabies bite or anything like that, or a dangerous dog, they get impounded down there.
Okay.
So I'll take a motion.
I move that the Wyndham County Humane Society serve as our pound keeper, the town's pound keeper.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded to appoint Wyndham County Humane Society as the pound keeper. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye. Peter, do we need to relook at that contract, or Shannon, or are we all set?
We are all
Uh,
set with that contract.
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon. I was just going to say I'll refer that to you. Okay, next up we have the Recreation Committee. You have a listing there. Doreen Aldrich, Ellen Howard, Gaetano Pudignano was no longer on the board. Heather Hicks, Ben Mashur, who's no longer here on this board, and Megan Applegate. As far as I know, they have never actually met as a committee, because every time they went to meet, 2 of the committee members couldn't make it because it was on a training night. And so I'm going to guess that Doreen and Ellen Howard are not interested going forward.
So when you say Gaetano and Ben are no longer on the board, can they still be on this
They
committee?
can still be on there. We can appoint them, and then
Do they wanna be
if they
on it?
so decide not to participate, then they can let the manager know so we can try and find someone else that's interested. As I say, they haven't met for, it's established, I think, 2 years ago, and they just haven't met.
Hmm.
So,
And Peter, I presume you've spoken with Ellen Howard about her intent?
oh yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Doreen has some health issues that she's dealing with.
Yeah.
Oh,
currently,
okay.
So she won't probably be interested that well,
All right.
although she's still involved in Rotary, but anyway. Okay, so I'll take a motion on those to appoint Gaetano Pudignano, Heather Hicks, Ben Mashur, and Megan Applegate to the Recreation Committee.
Do we,
moved.
Peter, do we need to have a select board member on that committee or not?
So we do, and that's what
Okay.
Ben and Gaetano were doing. So I don't think that Ben and Gaetano still want to serve, but we would need at least one representative from your board.
I'll volunteer for that.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, so we'll wait to hear from Gaetano and Ben if they're interested, Shannon. If we need to get any more on there, we can take it up at a later meeting. But thanks for that information. I didn't know that we had to have a select board member on there. Okay, motion's been made to, or I'll make the motion to appoint Bonnie North, Gaetano Pudignano, Heather Hicks, Ben Mashur, and Megan Applegate to the Recreation Committee. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor would say aye.
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 Okay, Revolving Loan Fund Committee. Currently is Katie Dearborn, myself, Sanford Martin, Hugh Haggerty, and Gaetano Pudignano, and G. Fox there is a non-voting member. He is basically staff. He supplies information,
Mhm.
just so you know. I am failing on that one.
I'd be willing to step in on that one if you want me to.
Okay, they have a funky sort of, they haven't met, they usually try to meet quarterly or sooner if there's an application
Mhm.
for a business loan or something like that.
Right.
Sometimes they just meet to go over the finances and condition of the financing and things. But Gary generally sends out the agenda.
Good.
So.
Right.
Do we need more than one select board member? If so, I'd be happy to.
No, there's, I think you only need to have one select board member on that one. So you,
It is nice to have two though. So Susan, if you're interested, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that again. Yep.
okay, then we'll add you to it. Okay, motion, please. We need a motion to appoint Katie Dearborn, Sanford Martin, Hugh Haggerty, Gary Fox as a non-voting member, Rick Cowan, and Sue Hammond.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded to appoint Katie Dearborn, Sanford Martin, Hugh Haggerty, Gary Fox, non-voting, Rick Cowan, and Sue Hammond to the revolving loan fund committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, Rockingham Historic Preservation Review Committee involves Miles Mickle, John Lippman, Marguerite Janison, Fred Tipton, and Annie Guyon currently. I don't know if any of them are interested, but I'll take a motion.
Yeah, I know that Fred Tipton and Annie Guyon had stepped down, and earlier this year, myself and Annette Spalding were appointed to those positions.
Annette and who?
Annette
Yourself?
Spalding and myself.
Oh, yourself? Okay, well, we got two replacements,
That's great.
so
Great.
you're getting stuck on a few of these there, Elijah. Okay, motion please to appoint Miles Mickle, John Letman, Marguerite Janison, Annette Spalding, and Elijah Zimmer to the Rockingham Historic Preservation Review Commission.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion remains seconded to appoint those people. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Senior Center, Hugh Haggerty has been on there for several years, and I assume he's still willing to take that on. I don't know how often they meet, but I'll take a motion.
I'll move that Hugh Haggerty be continued in his appointment to the senior center.
You want a second?
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint Hugh Haggerty to the Senior Center. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Motion passes. Solid Waste Management Committee. Currently, there was Gary DeRosa. He has resigned from that, and municipal manager currently, Scott, has stepped up to do that. I don't know if anyone else is interested. Doesn't have to be a select board member.
Should probably add.
I don't know when they
maybe
meet,
Mr.
maybe
White
like
would-
quarterly or something
They
like
meet
that, Rick?
quarterly. It's mostly Zoom. But perhaps we could add Mr. Larry White as well, since Larry's actually doing operations. That's what Gary was doing before.
Larry, you're being called. Want to do it? Try it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll need a motion to appoint the municipal manager and Larry White as the solid waste management representative.
I so move.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint the municipal manager and Larry White as the solid waste management reps. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye. Oh, okay. Town service officer is Christine Bullard. I don't know if anybody's heard from her, whether she's still interested in doing that. I know there's some issues to deal with there, I believe, maybe not.
Can you, for new people, can you explain what that job is about?
That service officer generally takes care of people that are homeless or need housing or need help with this, that, or the other.
Ah.
And it's they usually contact the town hall. The town hall refers them to the service person and take care of it. Christine's done it for a while and she enjoys doing it, and she knows a lot of the people that are looking for help. But as I say, I don't know if she's interested. I don't want to go into details on anything else, so we can appoint her, and if she's not interested, I guess we can hear back.
That seems like a good way to go.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay, so I'll need a motion to appoint Christine Bullard.
I so move.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint Christine Bullard as a town service officer. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Town Tax Stabilization Committee. Currently, it's Tim Powers, Richard Stickney, Tom Hernan, Dennis Hardy, and Pat Fowler. We hear a motion.
I move that Tim Powers, Richard Stickney, Tom Hernan, Dennis Hardy, and Pat Fowler be appointed as the Town Tax Stabilization Committee.
We hear a second.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint Tim Powers, Richard Stickney, Tom Hernan, Dennis Hardy, Pat Fowler as the Town Tax Stabilization Committee. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Motion passes. Tree Warden, we already did. Wyndham Regional Commission, Susan Hammond and Bonnie North currently. Are they both still interested in staying on there?
Yes.
I know Bonnie
Yep.
is.
Good.
Okay, take a motion.
Yep.
I move that Sue Hammond and Bonnie North be appointed as our representatives on the Wyndham Regional Commission.
We hear a second?
I'll second that.
Peter, there might be a good point. I don't know if it's possible if we have an alternate, because on 4 meetings a month, Bonnie and I will be at joint meetings, so we can't be at the full commission meeting. I don't even know how that works with the Wyndham Regional. I'm assuming we can have an alternate. Maybe we have to look at that and see if we can find
Yeah,
someone who
I would
can
love to
attend that
do it.
meeting.
Rick Collins just volunteered himself.
Yeah, but he will be, no, he will also be stuck in a board meeting.
Right.
That's the problem. Four
Yeah,
meetings
yeah,
a
can't be a
month,
board member, right?
4 meetings a
So,
year.
All right, we'll have to think on that one, find someone
Yeah.
that can fill that out. or
Maybe Gary, maybe,
Maybe, John Dunbar, new member of the planning commission.
maybe. Yeah. Anyway, but I think we need, I don't know about whether or not you can have an alternate for that meeting, but we can find out.
Okay, why don't you get back, why don't you find out and then get back to us in the April meeting? And
Yeah.
in the meantime, we'll have somebody contact John Dunbar, see if he's interested, and then we'll have a alternate. But in the meantime, we'll vote on the motions. All those in favor of appointing Susan Hammond and Bonnie North to the Wyndham Regional Commissions would say aye.
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 Aye. And finally, Town Fire Warden, his term is up the end of this month. Currently, it's Larry White, and Larry White is still interested, so I'll take a motion.
I move that Larry White be appointed as the town fire warden.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to appoint Larry White as the Town Fire Warden. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Motion passes.
I think, Peter, the only other item, I believe there was a memo in our packet.
Yeah, I was
about-
gonna get to that one
Okay.
when we get to, that's the next one down, just
Very
to,
good. Okay.
'cause he's got an application in for
Yes.
that.
Okay, very good.
So in your packet, there was a application for John Dunbar to go on the Rockingham Planning Commission. He has a resume there. Anybody's looked at that? There is a motion there, a suggested motion on the bottom of the page. If someone would like to make that motion, we can move on this one and
Okay, so I see that. The minutes.
should be at the bottom of the page. If you don't have it, I got a copy right here.
Okay, I wouldn't mind seeing the copy.
Yeah, you got a copy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I've got it here. I got it online. Yep. Okay. Thanks.
I move that we appoint John Dunbar to the Rockingham Planning Commission starting March 16th to fill the 3-year Planning Commission term that ends June 30th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made, and seconded to appoint John Dunbar to the Rockingham Planning Commission starting March 16th, 2021 to fill the 3-year Planning Commission term that ends June 30th, 2023. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay, we're done with appointments. Yay.
Good job.
Yes, it's a pain in the neck, but it's got to be done, unfortunately. Some of them are required by statute, and others are just stuff that the committee's been set up. Item 3 is the website discussion. Bonnie, I guess you wanted to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, I
that.
just want to say a couple things about the website. I think everybody knows, or if you don't, I created the basic template structure for the current website last year. And so I kind of feel like it's my baby, and so I look at it a lot, and I have noticed inaccuracies, things missing, and so forth. And I nag Chuck about it because he kind of took the reins there after I was done what I said I would do. and Wendy was gone. But Chuck has too many hats that he's switching off and on already. I'm wondering, can we have someone on town staff, perhaps the clerk's assistant, given responsibility for keeping that website up to date and accurate? I guess it's a question for Scott.
Well, I can speak to that a little. So, I think that we need to get everybody kind of into the groove and what their job responsibilities are before we decide where people are gonna take on additional responsibilities. So currently Chuck and I are doing the website, and I know it's not ideal, but we are short-staffed. So, depending on the assistant clerk's skill set, we'll just have to decide internally where we feel like that will best sit.
Yeah, I can tell you, Brian, we're starting somebody, that same person is going to be starting part-time working to support the manager's office. So I think that as we round that person's duties, I think one of the things we want to do is upgrade and keep a continuing flow through the website and take it off of Shannon and Chuck necessarily, because as you know, they're dealing with other priorities. So I think that's something that we're going to transition into. She's not starting actually till tomorrow with that new assignment. So I'm hoping to give her a couple weeks of transition, and I think maybe we can do a more formal update to how we're going to get content on the website. And then I think the secondary question is if there's other content that people want to see on the website. That's a conversation I think we have to have more at the board level in terms of, right now it's pretty generic. We just pretty much post minutes, community activities that, we're sponsoring, public information meetings, those types of things, reminders. There has been some other, and Bonnie can probably get into greater detail. She's built out other aspects of other web related business directories, some other things, I think. And the question would be, if we go forward, is that something that the board wants to entertain as part of the municipal website? Do you want to have us just link to those kinds of things and work with some of our chamber, be it FADC or other groups, to try to put that portion together? I've seen websites go both directions. I've seen, you guys can do the research. You can see some that are pretty comprehensive. They have, houses for sale, businesses in town, regional items of interest, and then some of them are just strictly, we're having a trustee meeting, here's an agenda, and here's the minutes kind of website. So I think there's a broader discussion that the board needs to have in terms of how robust this is going to be, and then how we think that might ultimately be accomplished. So maybe I'll start there, and maybe Bonnie might want to fill in.
Yeah, well, I think since we're discussing having working meetings, that might be a really good topic for one of those.
Right.
And I could come prepared to show some of that. There was a lot more to that website when I left it.
Right.
And a lot was taken down. Some kind of needed to be taken down during pandemic restrictions, but there were many other sections. One thing I'd like to make clear is that I am available at no charge to train anybody on staff that wants comprehensive training. I know Chuck, I think, has a good working knowledge of the whole setup. I don't know how much Shannon's done, but that was part of the original contract, that I would train staff. But then the COVID restrictions came down, and it wasn't possible to do that. And I am also willing to volunteer to create a more marketing-oriented site for the town if the town wants to go that direction. And I just, I read in the Reformer that Brattleboro's planning on spending $75,000 to redo their website. And I'm willing to do it as a volunteer. With the kind of template-based program we have, it costs us, I think, $316 a year total. So I just want to make that clear. I'm willing to help out
We
anyway.
got 74,000 left to go.
Yeah. You can fix the Opera House kitchen.
There is questions in the audience once you're done with the board, Peter.
Okay, someone out there, who is it?
I have one question though, Peter.
Oh, go ahead, Sue.
So just a question of the archive site. Is that still up and running? Because sometimes I go to it to look for an old minutes of something and I'm not getting there.
That's, I think part of the problem is the links aren't complete. I noticed we had some problems with that before. And I noticed, I think the first one that you did, Bonnie, didn't have enough, substance to it, so we couldn't put a lot of stuff on it. And I think that's maybe why things got changed around. Shannon, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was
You're
what
talking
happened.
about trying to find old archives?
Yeah, that's what she's trying to.
When I was done, we had a lot of trouble making the transition. There was, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 weeks when I was basically updating 2 websites, the new one and the old one, because we couldn't get the domain switch one through what is Dominion Systems. All that archive stuff, I trained Leah Clark on that. And the plan was that all that archive stuff was going to eventually be moved to Box, which is box.com, is a type of storage for files. And you will see now, mostly if you go and you want to see see minutes of a meeting, you'll see that you jump to Box. And the plan was for all that to go to Box. And the plan was for every place where something wasn't yet in the box, you would have a link taking you back to the old site. And I didn't place all those.
Oh, I saw there's another thing, a little flip up that comes up out box. That's why I was just wondering.
Yeah, I
what
saw that
was.
too.
So thank you.
Yeah, so
Thanks for explaining that. That's
so the desired end result was to have all these archive things on Box, and we pay, I don't know what, not much for Box. I found that by looking at other town websites, and I called I think St. Johnsbury and talked with them, and they said it was a really good system. So that's the theory there. It hasn't. I completed my contract, and some things never got done the way they were supposed to have been followed through on, and it was really due to pandemic problems.
Peter, I have a question.
Yes, Rick.
Our audience for the website, is it visitors as well as town citizens who need to get
That's
access?
the
Is that
question.
the big question?
That's the question. Do we want a site for visitors separate? We could link to it from the municipal site. Basically, Wendy Harrison wanted a site that was for everybody, for visitors, enticing people to come. I made a whole page about how you can get here, the different, what airlines to take and what the Amtrak schedule and all that stuff. When Chuck took over, he felt very differently. He felt this is just a municipal site. We're only going to focus on town stuff. Chuck and I have argued about that
right.
almost endlessly, but it's just a difference in philosophy. He thinks if we want to have something for visitors, it should be a separate site.
Okay, I'm not going to cut this discussion short, but
No,
but
that's
just to
definitely
say, as Scott mentioned earlier, I think that's a discussion for another meeting for the board to have, as what we want to see on that thing and I know there's several suggestions were made when we first started it, and Shannon, you mentioned someone was out there and wanted to speak on this subject. I don't see
Deb had
anybody
her
else.
hand up, but I don't see it any longer. Deb.
Yeah.
Oh, it's up
She
there.
she wrote in the chat that she was told they dropped the archive site due to cost.
That's what Chuck told me, so.
There you go. There's Deb.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
that's what I was told, because you can't find any archived old minutes and stuff like that any longer. It was there for a while, but then it got dropped, so there's no links. I don't know where it is now, and I can't find the old stuff in Box either.
If you guys would like temporarily until we resolve this, what we can do is, if you guys email me, I could send you a specific set of minutes.
Thank you.
So who dropped? So you don't have a contract with Dominion anymore?
Yeah, it's still there, I guess.
Yeah,
We have a contract with Dominion Tech.
no.
And they were the ones that were hosting the old website. When we made the switch, I forget, I think your technical assistant guy told me that it was paid up till 2023. That's all I know about that. So anyway, that's really all I had to say.
Sure.
I'd like to, really continue.
Well, I'll have to dig into that aspect of it. I'm not aware of that, so that's something we can dig into on our end. And then I think Bonnie's suggestion about looking at a working meeting and working through it and getting input from the board probably is the next step, so.
One more comment, Rick, go ahead.
I just wanted to acknowledge Bonnie's generous offer to train someone on staff. I mean, that would cost serious money, as we see from the Brattleboro example. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do it. And it's the reason we switched to this template system is because it's really very easy. Isn't it, Shannon?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said it's actually very easy once you're trained a little bit, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's very user friendly.
It's so much better than the old one. Oh my God.
Good work.
Okay, let's move on to number 4 here, the Vilas Bridge discussion. I guess, Scott, you got some information on that?
Sure, so thank you, Peter. So just a little bit of historical perspective, and then we'll get into the current situation. So we're going to go back now to, roughly 2010, 2009. Obviously the bridge is closed. There's a variety of agreements that are made between New Hampshire and Vermont, and for a variety of reasons, those don't seem to have maybe progressed as much as the Vermont people thought they would. Just to give you some indication, right now in the New Hampshire DOT 10-year plan, so this is the 2021 through 2030 10-year plan on the current MPO. So this is the Transportation Improvement Plan. So this is the one that they've approved. The Vilas Bridge is in the plan. It's only funded at 50%. The current contract cost is $10,228,550. And the first expenditure that they have for preliminary engineering starts in the 2023 congressional fiscal year, not our fiscal year. So you have to follow the federal process for that. In conversations, and things have changed now since this most recent stimulus package. There is a discussion now in Congress and actually in the House. Earmarks were officially stopped in 2011, congressional earmarks. So in the budgeting process, you were no longer able to enter and appropriate money for a specific congressional earmark. So that process itself stopped in 2011. Now, the House has passed a bill where they're going to allow earmarks, but they've changed the name. They're now called community project funding opportunities. And each congressional, the way that the House passed their legislation, each congressperson has the right to 10 specific project requests, and then there's other limitations in terms of how much money they can ask for, some transparency issues in terms of members of Congress can't be involved. There's other types of qualifications. I think there's two things that are important to us. Is first of all, as this process goes forward, there's only a slight window available for us to reach our congressman at this point, Congressman Welsh, and ask if we could include the bridge as one of the projects potentially, because Congress is looking at potentially accepting any request by the 15th of April, and they're in recess from April 6th through the 17th. So it's always interesting somehow how these things can be, the window can be incredibly short. So if we're going to ask our congressional representative to support, I think we're going to have to do it as a resolution at our March 30 joint board meeting and transmit that information to him hopefully as soon as possible, and even probably before the meeting, just to see what how they might react to that. Have not spoken to the village to see what their position is. Deb and I have had a brief conversation about the opportunity, to do it jointly, and then obviously if we're going to involve New Hampshire. There's also, I think, a couple of other items we should consider. I think if we're going to ask for one of these new community project funding requests, I think we should ask for the full 10 million, with the understanding that perhaps if there's overruns, because you guys have seen some of the numbers coming in for construction projects, they've been 20 and 30% over estimates, that those dollars could be funded through the New Hampshire side of the ledger, since they've already programmed some money in their tip help. So I think that would potentially, if we were successful, push us to get this thing underway and actually have a high probability of getting the bridge completely rehabilitated for traffic and pedestrian and, full use. But the window is tight. Then on the Senate side, Senator Leahy, who is the chair of appropriations on the Senate side, has already indicated that he is in favor of this new community project funding process. It's just a question of how they're going to ultimately decide on the Senate side how it's going to work, and then if both, they both agree, then obviously how that process would work going forward. But I think it's going to move fairly quickly. So if we're going to participate in this, I think we're going to have to make a decision. How much money, what's our specific ask? If we're going to approach our congressperson about that specifically. And then I think probably also maybe contact somebody in Senator Leahy's office and say, we're, engaging in this process, just want to give you a heads up, and we're hopeful that, you'll support us as we go forward. To see if the timing is right, to see if potentially we can get a $10 million earmark for this bridge rehab.
You open for questions, Pete?
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Since 85% of the bridge is in New Hampshire, can Vermont pay for it?
Well, we would have to pay 50% as it is existing now in order for it to go forward.
Oh, really?
So there is no apportionment in terms of cost, so
because
100%.
my understanding was that New Hampshire owns and has to maintain all the bridges on the Connecticut River Valley up to the western edge of the river.
Well, the way they wrote it in the tip was it was a 50% funded project. So maintenance-wise and going forward, that might be a conversation that New Hampshire might want to have. Is once if it's rehabilitated, who's going to maintain it?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have that conversation. That's not a big deal.
No, that's easy.
If you
Bonnie,
get,
you
if you
have
get
something?
that bridge fixed, I think that's the least of our worries.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
Well, but then again, we're in this problem because New Hampshire did not maintain it. So that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But,
very true.
but
true.
yeah, the 50-50 is a new thing as far as I remember. I don't remember it being in other plans as 50-50. I mean, and the problem is New Hampshire is not going to use one of their 10 for this project. Leahy and Peter may, but I don't see New Hampshire putting this forward as one of their community development projects. So I think it would have to come from us, but maybe with a letter of support from the Hampshire people, representatives, particularly the rep for the Cheshire County, or I don't know where the county rep ends for the New Hampshire side. They have 2, right?
I have stuff to say and tell you folks.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So anyway, I think it's good to jump on this if we can.
So, Bonnie, go ahead.
Okay, I brought this up when I met with Scott earlier this week. Article in the Washington Post caught my eye March 3rd, talking about these earmarks. And I took upon myself to contact J.B. Mack. He's the principal planner for New Hampshire's southeastern region. And I've been working with him in my role, working with the Monadnock Rail Trail Group. And I contacted Sue Wester, who I've been working with for several years now on Wyndham Regional. She's the senior planner for community development. And I contacted Chris Campany, who is the executive director of the Wyndham Regional commission. And I just asked them all, I said, do you think if we worked with Walpole and with New Hampshire, we could have a chance of getting either an earmark from House of Representatives or from the Senate? Responses I got immediately. There is no question in my mind that Bellows Falls and Walpole should put this front and center. That's from J.B. Mack, senior primary planner for New Hampshire's southeastern region. Chris says, I absolutely agree that a shared position and sustained engagement between the two towns would be helpful in many regards. So there's a number of things we could do aside from earmarks. I've been having pretty extensive communications with Gary Fox on this stuff. The BUILD grant, which stands for Better something or something other, it's a large federal grant. If that two states can apply for that together, two jurisdictions can apply for it together. My feeling is that in almost 12 years, the way we've dealt with our neighbors in Walpole has not been productive. I think we can be more cooperative. I think we can be more respectful of their challenges in dealing with this issue. They want to deal with it too. And I am tonight going to request that this board appoint me to be the initial liaison with Walpole to initiate discussions how we might work together jointly, applying for grants and applying for earmarks jointly. And the people advising me, JB, Chris, and Sue, felt that that was a really good place to begin. And Sue said, if the board gives me a green light on this tonight, she and JB will line up the initial meetings, and they will advise us every step of the way.
This is the point of history. That step has already been taken a couple of years ago. We met, the full board met with the select board over there, and the result was a letter was written to, a joint letter was written to them about that. They expressed their concerns about
Right, I mean, I've read that letter too.
Okay, so you
There
just want to make
is
sure
a
you're
kind
aware
of
of
a
that.
new situation now with the BUILD grant and the earmarks though. And I don't know, I think we need to give it a go, honestly.
Okay,
I'd like to speak in support of Bonnie's approach. It seems to make total sense. It, given the timing in the contacts she's made, it seems like we have nothing to lose by appointing her as the representative and seeing what she can do.
Okay, that's not on the agenda for action. It has to be on there, so
Okay, so
we
we
may
have
have to
to
put
put
that off till the next meeting, which will be either the joint board or, and that's getting a little lengthy, so I'm going to suggest it goes on the April 7th meeting.
So that means we couldn't even talk to them until April 7th?
If you want to get appointed to be the representative, I think that's the way it should go, yeah.
Well, that's regrettable, because from what, we couldn't even,
Yeah, the only other way we can do it is to appoint you tonight, and it has to be ratified at the April 7th meeting.
I'm
I
I'm
think we
not
should go
a-
that way.
I'm not interested in making decisions or commitments or anything, I just
No,
want
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm just,
Be a
this is how the
liaison.
process works, but,
to, okay.
but, if there's interest, I'll take a motion
I
to appoint.
I move that Bonnie be appointed our representative for informational purposes, not to make decisions or, but to gather information with our neighbors in Walpole and with the folks she has made contact with at the various agencies.
Okay, do we hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Scott, do you have any input on that?
No, I guess the only question I have, Peter, is how do you want to proceed on this current process through the House? Do we want to contact our congressional delegation?
I would think that'd be,
Move ahead?
that's in the step. Yeah, I think we ought to go ahead with
I
it.
mean, I
Yeah.
know Bonnie can
harm.
work on a parallel track.
Yep.
I don't mean to say that
Yep,
they're
no, no.
exclusive. I just want to make sure that we're all pulling in the same direction here and.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Bonnie North as the liaison for our informational meetings with the town of Walpole and the other various committee members that she's spoken to in the Wyndham Regional and the state of New Hampshire regional person, JB Mack, would say aye.
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 You were duly appointed. We'll
right.
we'll ratify that at the next meeting. So
Okay, thank you very much, and I will let you know as soon as I hear from Sue and JB when we're gonna go over there.
okay, Scott, do you have that resolution for the listers somewhere?
Yeah, so basically we'll go back to the form. It's a requirement of the state for us to certify the grand list. And so the listers have given us this form. It's a PVR-4155. And basically what they're saying is at this point, the April 1, 2020 grand list for Rockingham does not have anything in terms of pending suits or any other actions or any recoveries of taxes paid under protest. So that list will be locked at that point. And so they have certified that. What I need the select board to do is by resolution, just agree that they're going to lock the 2020 grand list. And by your action, then we'll sign this form, and then the listers will have it certified by the clerk, and it'll be filed with the state.
Take a motion to approve the resolution to lock the 2020 grand list.
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made in second to approve the resolution to lock the grand list for 2020. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's coming around.
Aye.
So, while we're waiting for that to come around, let's review agendas for the next meeting right now. And that's going to be, just as a reminder to the public who's watching or listening, that is a Wednesday meeting. It's April 7th. To change from our traditional Tuesday night meeting, just so people are aware to tune in. Appointments, if we have any. I don't think we would, but there are a few that were left off.
We'll have Bonnie for the new
Yep.
liaison.
And financials.
Yes. I'm hoping to have the.
We're gonna have those, or we're gonna have them for the next meeting for the
I'm
work
hoping to
session?
have the Zoom with our auditors confirmed for that. So we'd have all the updated audited financials, the management letter, as well as our regular financials. So I just couldn't confirm it with them before tonight, so.
Okay, we're gonna ratify Bonnie's appointment. Anyone else have anything for the next meeting? If you think of anything between now and April 7th, we got a little time. Let the manager know, and we'll take it up when we manufacture the agenda.
Okay.
Next item is the review agenda items for the joint board meeting. They're on there. I should warn you currently, that's for March 30th, that Scott and I are going to get together and kind of see if we can cut this down. We think there's going to be a lengthy meeting and discussion, so we're going to try and knock a few things off of this, and you'll get a revised agenda when it comes out, and the information behind it. Anyone have any questions or suggestions for the meeting, or just wait to see what we can come up with? Okay. Review and approve orders, bills, and warrants. Take a motion, please. I assume everybody's seen it in the packet.
The warrants.
Yeah.
Move to
that
approve.
We hear a second?
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and approved, made and seconded to approve the orders, bills, and warrants. Do we have discussion? Questions? All those in favor would say aye.
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 Okay, now we're down to other business. First thing we do have, Elijah, we need you to sign your oath here. You would sign that and give it to Scott. We'll get that back to the town clerk so she can do the final approval there.
The same oath that you gave and
Right, it should
When
have,
you
it
were
has to
sworn
be.
in, we just have to do a signed copy so that it's formal.
Yep. Coming around, we'll add that to the file for Scott, take home.
Oh, that's okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can get those, and we'll give them to John the rebound. Okay, other business, Rick, you have any other business?
One question for Scott. The correspondence we received from the sites group, I presume that's Gary's domain, is it? The building that they want to do a multifamily building next door. Is that, will that come through Gary's, or will that come through, through, not through Gary, but through,
Chuck.
yeah,
Right,
right,
right, and they'll take a look, DRB, I'm sure will be, and other folks will be working on that as well.
okay.
So there'll be a public process involved if there's people that are interested or want to follow up.
And do we have any role in that?
At this point, I don't believe so. Preliminarily looking, I don't believe so, but if there's a zoning issue, potentially, if there has to be some sort of zoning related issue, I don't believe right now that there is, but if the attorney at some point says you might have to do something, then we'll come back to you.
Okay,
Right now, there's nothing that we anticipate.
all right.
Bonnie, other business? I have nothing at this time. Elijah? Nothing? And
Peter, the
there's
question,
Sue?
I'm sorry.
I'm all set for now, thank you.
Scott?
We had asked if the attorney could come and present to the trustees about just responsibilities and other sorts of.
Right, yeah. Do you want to do that
Do
on
you
the
want
7th?
me to try to schedule that for your next meeting, or?
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we confirm that, so, okay.
Yeah, with
very good.
Ray, yeah. Or do you want to try Ann Kuda?
Yes, I was gonna have that.
Okay. Just so you know, Ann Kuda is a town attorney and Ray is a village attorney, so we're trying to keep things separated. The other thing I have, Scott, the housing ordinance, it's a village issue. Are we, the select board, going to have a chance to look at that, or if anybody's reviewed the
Yeah,
draft on the
it's still
website?
in a draft because we're waiting to get some information back from the state on
Okay.
inspection and how that process is gonna work and some of the other items that are gonna go with that.
Yeah, there's
And I
also,
think the
there's,
ordinance will be ready for circulation and comment, so we're not there
okay,
yet.
yeah, because I know there's,
Right.
if Sean is the appointed certified inspector, then
Right,
generally the state has some form that he has to sign that they agree that the state will allow him to do the inspections,
there's an
otherwise
entire memorandum.
there's a lot of
agreement
garbage that goes in with
a
it,
lot of
and, you
yada
know, then
yada
it comes to the
language
point of whether the enforcement of the fines, who does that, and if it goes to court, who's gonna pay the court fees, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we
Right.
should weigh in on that, because,
So we don't have that back. We had
yeah.
sent some
Okay, I
draft
just-
to
I
them.
just-
So as soon as that gets back, Peter, I think that would be a good item for us
Okay.
to
all right,
have on an agenda.
okay. There's no need for an executive session. Well, it says here labor relations agreements with employees. That's for the joint board though, I think, isn't it?
I think right now, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I move we adjourn.
And
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Oh, that was quick. Sue? All those in favor, motion's made to
Very
adjourn.
enthusiastic,
All those in
All right.
favor would say aye.
Bye,
Aye.
thanks.
Okay, we're all set.
Bye.
Elijah, you need